Welcome to the introduction of this journey through the pages of the Gospel of Mark, the first Gospel. For a long time, Christians have seen the Gospel of Mark as a second-class account compared to the other Gospels. It was thought by everyone to be a sort of retelling of Matthew's version. However, the Gospel of Mark is of vital importance not only because we know now that it was the first Gospel to be written, but also because it offers a special message for the faith of the Church. It intends to answer two fundamental questions. The first one is, who is Jesus? Mark's first goal is for every Christian reader to understand who Jesus is, asking the question of his identity from the very first verse. And I quote the beginning of the Gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and describing his path through the pages of the Gospel. And the second one is, who is a disciple? In fact, the second goal is to help us understand who is a true disciple of Jesus. This is why this Gospel has always been particularly useful for the faith journey of the catechumens, that is, for those who are preparing to receive baptism. And it is precisely at the Jordan River, with the moment of Jesus' baptism, that Mark begins his account. Those, on one hand, Mark takes the readers by the hand and leads them step by step to discover the identity of Jesus of Nazareth. For this reason, Mark divides his account in two parts. The first is set in Galilee and culminates in Peter's profession of faith, which defines Jesus as the Christ. And the second one is set around Jerusalem and culminates in the Roman centurion's utterance that calls Jesus the Son of God. On the other hand, as he reveals the face of Jesus as Christ and Son of God, Mark also depicts the faces of the disciples. At first, the result will surprise us, since the disciples described in this Gospel are certainly not champions of the faith and do not stand out for their spiritual intelligence or moral courage. They are exactly like every Christian with many limitations and sins. However, by accepting their own weaknesses, they are able to learn to follow Jesus. In this way, the first Gospel brings together the journey of Jesus with the disciples' path of spiritual growth and answers questions about their true identity, like what was the starting point for their calling? How do they stand out from the rest of the people? On what should they base their activities? Or what are their fears and temptations? In what way do they follow Jesus? Or who do they welcome into the community? To these questions, Mark gives the answers that can make us aware of how to be disciples, and therefore how to be an open, welcoming, universal, real Catholic Church, even and especially today. As a general principle, the spiritual biblical lessons will stop at each of the most significant places described in the story, like after the River Jordan, the Lake of Galilee, Capernaum, the synagogue, the mountain, the boat, life around the market, Mount Tabor, and of course Jerusalem, with the temple, Gethsemane, and so on. That will allow us to follow spiritually along the path traced by Mark in order to learn to follow Jesus and become true disciples. Let's get it started then. Let's follow Jesus in his own path, step by step, according to Mark, the first gospel.